So we're really diving into the darkness with this deep dive. Um, Salem's Lot by Stephen King. And you know what's interesting about the excerpts you've given us? It's not like, bam, in your face horror. It's more like this slow build, this creeping dread.
Yeah, definitely. It's
Yeah.
like King is setting the stage, right? Building this atmosphere of unease.
Totally. And he does that so well. Like you can practically feel the town closing in on you, even just reading these snippets.
It's that sense of place, right?
Yeah.
He really makes Salem's Lot come alive, but not in a good way.
Right. It's like Salem's Lot itself is a character. And not a very friendly one at that. So we've got abandoned buildings, people vanishing, and all these rumors swirling around. Like something stinks in this town, and it's not just the dump.
And everyone's whispering about the Marston house. Like,
Wow.
it's a character, too. This ominous presence looming over everything.
It's always a creepy house, isn't it? So how does King use the Marston house to kind of set that tone for us?
It's in the details, man. It's like he describes the windows as eyes watching, and that overgrown lawn like it's hiding something. King doesn't just tell us it's creepy, he makes us feel it.
Yeah, you almost expect a hand to shoot out and grab you.
Mhm.
And then into this creepy scene walks Ben Mears, our writer-protagonist, drawn back to his hometown. What's Ben's deal? Why is his return so significant?
Well, think about it. He's an outsider coming back to a place he thought he knew. But Salem's Lot, it's changed, and not for the better. Ben's like the audience in a way we experience the town's descent into darkness right alongside him.
And he's got that personal connection to the Marston house, too.
Right.
Like it represents something from his past.
Yeah, he's got baggage,
Yeah.
literal and figurative. And it seems like the house is a big part of that, like something he needs to confront.
Oh man, talk about your haunted houses. So it's not just Ben who's picking up on the bad vibes. We've also got Father Callahan, the town priest. He seems to think something seriously unholy is going down.
Oh yeah, Father Callahan. He's interesting because he represents faith, right? But also this sense of history. Like he knows Salem's Lot has a dark side and he recognizes it's back.
But not everyone is on board with the whole evil is back thing, right? I mean, we've got Constable Parkins Gillespie, and he seems like a total skeptic.
Yeah, Parkins, he's by the book all the way. Give him a stolen lawn gnome over a vampire any day.
Yeah, he seems more worried about petty theft than the possibility of supernatural forces at work.
Which is kind of ironic considering what he's up against, right?
That's an understatement. Which makes you wonder, how are the townsfolk going to react when the truth comes out? Who's going to be ready and who's going to be, well, lunch? We'll dig into that more as we continue our deep dive into Stephen King's Salem's Lot. You know, it's like we keep saying Salem's Lot is more than just a backdrop. It's practically its own character with all these people living their lives.
It really is. And each person we meet adds another layer to the story, right?
Totally, like Susan Norton. She's young, she's obviously drawn to Ben, but she's also got this restlessness about her, like she's looking for an escape.
Yeah, Susan's a great example of how King explores that feeling of being trapped, you know?
Yeah.
Especially in a small town where everyone knows your name and your family's whole history.
And it's not just Salem's Lot that she wants to escape from.
Right.
Her relationship with her mom is pretty intense.
Definitely. There's a real generational clash happening there.
Mm.
And it kind of reflects the bigger conflict brewing in the town, wouldn't you say? The old ways versus the new, the things people choose to ignore.
Oh, absolutely. And then you've got Matt Burke, the school teacher, quiet guy, but something tells me he's sharper than people realize.
Oh, Matt's fascinating. He's got this quiet courage about him. And because he's a teacher, he's so in tune with the people around him. He picks up on things others miss. Like he can sense the darkness settling over Salem's Lot.
It's like he sees what's coming, even if he doesn't want to believe it. Which brings us back to our skeptical constable, Parkins Gillespie. What's his deal? Is he really that oblivious?
I think Parkins represents that human need for order. You know, the belief that everything can be explained away with logic. And that can be a dangerous thing when you're dealing with forces beyond your understanding.
Yeah, he seems due for a rude awakening. But it's not just him, is it? It's like the whole town has this collective blind spot, this need to pretend everything is fine.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
King is so good at portraying that small town mentality, right? That tendency to sweep things under the rug, to maintain appearances, even when things start getting really weird.
And things are definitely getting weird. I mean, we've got people dying under mysterious circumstances. The rumors about the Marston house are getting more intense. It's like the town's carefully constructed facade is starting to crack.
And through those cracks, the real horror starts seeping in. Remember that scene where Mike Ryerson turns up dead at Matt Burke's place? The way King describes it, the way Mike looks.
Yeah.
It's chilling.
Ugh, don't remind me. It's like the more we learn about what's happening in Salem's Lot, the less we want to know.
And that's where the true horror lies, right?
Ugh.
In that creeping realization that something is terribly wrong, but you don't know what it is or how to stop it.
Exactly. And that's where Ben Mears really comes into his own, don't you think? He's the one who starts connecting the dots, piecing together the puzzle, even if he doesn't like what he's finding. It's almost like the town's in denial, you know? Like if they don't acknowledge it, it can't hurt them, but we all know that's not how it works.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
In fact, it's almost like their denial, their refusal to see what's right in front of them, it fuels the evil, gives it space to grow stronger.
And boy, does it grow stronger. The cracks in that facade we were talking about, they become gaping holes once the truth about the Marston house comes out. And all those whispers about the town's past, suddenly they don't seem so crazy anymore.
Exactly. It's like King is saying, the past is never really past, is it? Especially in a place like Salem's Lot. And of course, that's when the V word finally drops.
Mm.
We're talking vampires.
Vampires, but not those sparkly romantic vampires, right?
Yeah,
They're
they're-
different.
Oh, yeah. King's vampires are old school, vicious predators. They're like a corruption spreading through the town, twisting everything they touch.
And no one is safe from that corruption. I mean, imagine seeing your friends, your neighbors turned into these creatures of the night. It's that fear of the familiar becoming monstrous.
That's what makes it so terrifying. It's not some abstract monster in the shadows. It's the people you thought you knew, turned into something hungry and unrecognizable.
It's like losing someone twice, right? First, to whatever darkness takes them, and then again when they come back as something else. And it's not just the physical transformation either. It's the mind control, the manipulation, the way they turn people against each other.
That's right. It's like a disease, infecting not just their bodies, but their minds, their souls. It's psychological warfare on top of everything else.
And facing that kind of darkness, it feels almost impossible to fight back. But a small group in Salem's Lot, they choose to make a stand. Ben, Father Callahan, Matt Burke. They become these unlikely heroes.
Right. And their courage comes from different places. For Ben, it's personal. For Callahan, it's faith. And Matt, well, Matt's a protector at heart, especially of his students. But together, they represent that flicker of hope, that refusal to give in, even when everything seems lost.
Their fight is brutal, though. No easy answers. And they have to make some truly awful decisions, like what happens with Susan.
Oh man, that moment when they realize what they have to do.
No.
King doesn't shy away from the cost of fighting evil. Sometimes it means making impossible choices, sacrifices that haunt you.
It's heartbreaking, but it shows just how high the stakes are. The fate of Salem's Lot, it all comes down to this small group facing off against the ultimate evil, Barlow himself.
Barlow, the
Yeah.
puppet master, the ancient evil pulling the strings. That final confrontation is pure tension. You can feel the town holding its breath.
And the ending, well, let's just say it stays with you. King doesn't tie everything up in a neat little bow, does he?
Nope. Instead, he leaves us with this unsettling question. What becomes of a town, of people who've been through something like that? Can you ever really go back after facing that kind of darkness?
It makes you think, doesn't it? About the shadows lurking beneath the surface of everyday life, the potential for evil to take root, even in the most ordinary places. Well, we certainly took a deep dive with this one. Stephen King's Salem's Lot. It's more than just a vampire story, isn't it?
Much more. It's about fear and faith and the loss of innocence. It's about the monsters we create and the ones that we carry within ourselves.
It's a story that stays with you long after you've turned the final page. And on that note, we'll leave you to ponder those dark corners of the human experience. Until next time, keep those lights on.